We trust our medicines to fix things, to make us better. But what happens when they become the problem themselves? Today, we're going to dig into a really important paradox: how the very pills that are meant to keep us healthy can actually become a huge risk, especially as we get older. So let's dive in and uncover what's really going on inside that medicine cabinet.
So, this is the big question, isn't it? Why does this happen? As our bodies change over time, our relationship with medicine changes too. Something that was totally safe for us years ago might not be anymore. And figuring out the why behind that, well, that's the first step to staying safe.
And get this, the sheer scale of the problem is just wow. It is not at all unusual for older adults to be taking 5, 10, or even more different medications every single day. Now, every one of those pills was prescribed with the best intentions, probably by different doctors for different issues. But it's this pileup of pills where the trouble really starts.
And here's a perfect example of how a seemingly small thing can just snowball into something huge. A few really common prescriptions, say for blood pressure, pain, or sleep, can mix together and make someone feel dizzy. That dizziness leads to a fall, and that fall can easily lead to a serious, life-changing fracture. It's this crazy chain reaction that all starts right there in the medicine cabinet.
Okay, so this brings us right to our first major challenge, what I'm calling the overload problem. This isn't just about one bad pill. It's about the sheer number of them and the complicated, tangled web they create. There's actually a clinical name for this overload. It's called polypharmacy, and it means more than just taking a lot of pills. It's about that complex mess that happens when you're getting multiple drugs from multiple doctors, and maybe none of them have the complete picture of everything you're taking.
And the risks here? They're huge. We're talking about dangerous interactions between drugs, getting the same type of medicine under 2 different brand names, and just a massive increase in side effects. And all of that makes an already complicated schedule almost impossible to follow correctly.
This can kick off something that experts call the prescribing cascade. Let me walk you through it. So a doctor prescribes a medicine for high blood pressure, but that medicine causes a side effect, like swollen ankles. So what happens? Another doctor prescribes a new medicine, a diuretic, to treat the swelling. But then that drug causes its own side effects, and on it goes. You can see how this whole thing just starts to spiral out of control.
All right, on to challenge number 2. This one's not just about the number of drugs. It's about how an aging body kind of plays by a new set of rules for processing them, and how that can turn a totally normal dose into a dangerous one.
Okay, this comparison is just fascinating. Take a look. In a younger body, your kidneys and liver are super efficient at clearing drugs out of your system. But as we get older, that whole process slows way down. Slower clearance means the drug hangs around in your body for longer. Plus, changes in muscle and fat can change how a drug is distributed. So what's the bottom line? A dose that was perfectly fine for you years ago could actually become toxic now.
So because of all these changes in the body, some very common medicines suddenly become high risk. We're talking about things like sleeping pills, strong opioids, and even over-the-counter stuff like ibuprofen. For an older adult, these can seriously increase the risk of falls, confusion, or even kidney problems.
And believe it or not, it gets even more complicated. A medicine you take for one thing can actually make another condition you have much, much worse. As you can see right here, common NSAIDs can be really bad for someone with heart failure, and steroids can throw diabetes completely out of whack. It's an incredibly delicate balancing act.
Okay, that brings us to our third big challenge. And this one's a little different. It's the human factor. This isn't about body chemistry, it's about our behaviors, our perceptions, and just the day-to-day struggle of trying to manage all these medications.
This quote, this is so important. It's a total shift in how we need to think. So often, when an older person suddenly seems confused or acts differently, we just chalk it up to getting old. But what if the real cause is hiding in plain sight, right inside their pill bottle?
Think about it. Dizziness, confusion, feeling weak, not wanting to eat. These are the classic things we just write off as a normal part of aging. But in reality, they are some of the most common side effects of medications. Recognizing them for what they might actually be is absolutely critical.
Then there's the whole challenge of just sticking to the schedule. And it's rarely a simple case of, oops, I forgot. As you can see from this chart, there's a lot more going on. Crazy complex schedules, being afraid of side effects, the high cost, or even just having trouble reading the tiny print on the bottle can all be huge barriers.
And you can have the absolute perfect prescription from the best doctor in the world, and it can still all go wrong. If no one takes the time to explain why and how to take a medication, or if someone makes a simple mistake like mixing up old and new pill bottles, all the benefits can just go right out the window.
Okay, so we've laid out all these pretty serious challenges. The big question is, what can we actually do about it? Well, the good news is there are some really clear, practical solutions that can make a world of difference. Think of this checklist as your game plan for taking back control. Honestly, the single most powerful thing you can do is schedule a regular medication review with a doctor or pharmacist. The goal is to de-prescribe, to safely get rid of any medicines that aren't absolutely necessary. Asking to simplify the schedule, getting clear advice, and looping in family or caregivers, these are all proactive steps that really work. And really, it all comes down to this one simple idea. This is the absolute core principle we need to remember. It's not about adding more and more pills to chase every little symptom. It's about being smart, being careful, and understanding this simple truth that when it comes to medicine, quality always beats quantity.